Hello and welcome to our show, Film Talk with AJ Dean. I'm AJ Dean, your host, and I have the most wonderful co-host with me, Paul Vato. He's an excellent actor from Las Vegas. Paul, how are you? And thank you so much for being here.
It is my absolute pleasure. There's no other way that I'd rather spend my evening than here chatting with you, AJ, and with our guests. And so I'm very excited about today's podcast. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, Paul, thank you. And Paul, I am so excited and thrilled. We have Robert Rice in the building. He is a phenomenal actor, writer, and producer. And we want to give him a very, very warm welcome. Hey, Robert, how are you this evening?
Hi, AJ. Hi, Paul. I'm doing really well. Thank you very much. So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we were looking forward all this week to you being on, and you're a real up and coming young actor, and we're just so honored to have you and thrilled. I've seen your work and you are wonderful, but I do want to give a special, you're so welcome. I do want to give a special thank you and shout out to Nancy Scanlon, my friend and yours, because she's so great. Nancy is from Courant Entertainment, and she represents Robert Rice. And also, I want to say thank you to her. I also want to say a special thank you and shout out to Kimberly Skyrme, another great friend of mine who we adore. And Kimberly and Nancy, thank you so much for casting this show. We couldn't do it without you. And again, we adore you and love you. Isn't that right?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have met you, and you're so wonderful.
Oh,
And they're so wonderful. So thank you.
yes. Now, how did you get to be represented by Nancy? Because she is basically one of the very top of casting directors in Hollywood. How did you get that?
Well, I met Nancy before COVID, so I had the honor of meeting her early on. So I met her. I actually ended up taking class with her. I want to say I started in about 2019, and we started working together, and we kind of hit it off. And she's like, "I think I'd like to try repping you." So that's how we started that relationship. And we've been working together ever since, through the pandemic and beyond.
Amazing, amazing. So this is wonderful. So it's really about relationships, isn't it, Robert?
It is.
Yeah. So, Paul, what do you think? This is your first time you're meeting Robert Rice? Isn't he handsome? And don't you see him as a great leading man? I mean, because you're an established star actor as well, Paul. What do you say?
Oh, well, thank you. But yeah, I absolutely do see that, and especially when he's working with such great people like Nancy and Kimberly and everyone else. And but I think we've met on Clubhouse before, but I can absolutely see Robert, and what a cool name, Robert Rice. It just flows. It's
I don't know if that's a news anchor.
You could be a leading man news anchor, absolutely, 100%.
Well, thank you.
It's amazing. Go ahead, Robert.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that's very sweet of you. And Clubhouse has been a wonderful connector, especially through the pandemic. So it's just been so nice to meet people like yourselves. And obviously that's when I met Kimberly too for the first time. And then of course I knew Nancy from before, so she's been the connector for me. But it's just been a great way to stay in touch with people and meet new people and create a community. So
absolutely, absolutely. And I'm so thankful that that we have you on Robert, here. And thank you again so much for being here. And we've got two great movie posters on the screen here from Robert that he is involved in, he acted in, and they're absolutely phenomenal. We have Demon Hunters 2021 to 2022. This is a TV series that you starred in, Robert, and I loved it. And then we also have Pink Collar Crimes from 2018. So let's talk about
Ah.
Demon Hunter first, because they're both great posters and really, really artistic. So Demon Hunter, I watched you in this, and you are wonderful. It's so entertaining. Tell us about it, Robert.
Hey, yeah. So Demon Hunter is the true version of create your own content if you want to, want to do stuff. So my husband and I, in 2019, we crowdfunded this project. It's a horror comedy with a focus on queer representation and inclusivity. And so we crowdfunded that in 2019. We shot it at the end of 2019. Went through all of the post-production process when COVID hit, which was a coincidence, of course. But yeah, so basically, once we finished it, we started submitting it to festivals. It started showing up in festivals, and then we actually got distribution, and it was released this year on Here TV and Amazon Prime. So Here TV is our distributor. They're the oldest, longest running, I should say, queer cable/streaming platform. So they used to be a cable channel back when that was the chief thing that people did. Then they moved into streaming. They still actually have a cable channel. So technically speaking, Demon Hunter has appeared on TV. But also you can find it on Amazon Prime, and yeah, I don't think it's iTunes anymore, but like Apple Music, Google Play, that kind of thing. So it's fully distributed worldwide. Came out, was it January, I believe, and it's just 5 episodes, sort of web size, 10 to 20 minutes each. And yeah, it's a horror comedy. It's really fun. It's kind of I would say it's a little bit of a sexier Buffy, a little more adult to Buffy. But it has it's a lot more inclusive, different time. And it definitely it leans more into the comedy, I would say. And there are no vampires in Demon Hunter. We went with world mythology. So we went with like some different kinds of creatures and monsters and such.
Yes, and I was fascinated by it. Now, because this is horror, and horror is huge. So many people love horror. And so I enjoyed it. Once I started watching, I had to go to the next one. I couldn't stop. I had to see, it's one of those types of TV series. So I encourage everybody to check it out, Demon Hunter. And you acted in this, and you wrote it and produced, is that right?
Well, my husband wrote it. My husband created and wrote it. He is a writer-director. I'm a producer. I write. My writing is more in the sketch comedy space. But for this project, Tim wrote it and directed it. And he had a small writer's room that he put together. We created the full TV experience. You have to manifest, right? So we got a couple friends together who loved the same genre. They worked on it. Tim was the showrunner, director. We both produced. I acted in it. I also catered. This is full indie DIY. I cooked the meals for a lot of the shoot days. So I would show up with a tray of full meal and then do my scene.
Wow.
So I mean, we fully indied it.
Amazing, beautiful. What do you think of that, Paul?
I love it. I mean, it just shows you that independent spirit that we really need to be a part of, which is, well, if they're not going to give us, and I say we, whether anyone that's lacking representation, whether it's the gay community or Latinos or people of color, or, anything like that, we have to go out there and do our own thing. So that's wonderful, Robert, that you and your husband were able to put this together and make it happen. And some good things sometimes come out of this pandemic where if you're forced to be inside, why not have a project to work on? So it sounds like you shot it and it was ready to get edited, 2020. And instead of being somebody that's like, oh my God, we just lost a whole year, you actually put something out. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was funny. Well, nothing about the pandemic is funny per se, but the timing of it was literally, we were just about finished shooting. There was a delay. We were going to do some pickup shots, and that's when everything started to shut down. So it was supposed to be 6 episodes, but we ended up Frankensteining it into 5. And then the editing process was in true COVID fashion. Our editor lives up in Van Nuys. We live here. fully mask, bag, drop it off at the front door, ring the doorbell, go to the car, wait, they come out, wave, pull the thing in. So like it was a very like back and forth COVID experience, but we got it done. Wonderful editor, wonderful, and we had a great composer. Just like everything just really came together nicely. And a lot of that was from doing a crowdfunding campaign. We ended up being sort of in front of more people than we probably would have met if we had just kind of just done it. So like we met a lot of folks because of that, and because we were putting it out there so hard for that month that we were trying to raise money. People were like offering their services to us for post and for production and stuff. So it was great. It like helped with locations, it helped with post, it helped with all these things. But it was just wonderful meeting all these really talented and creative people who wanted to be a part of this and who we were able to have a part of it. So it just really came together nicely. We're really proud of it. It was our first big thing, so we made every mistake you can imagine. And we've learned a lot. So our next endeavor will hopefully be that much better. But it was really, we're really proud of it. And we're proud of the fact that we did it, and we completed it, and it's out in the world, and people have seen it and enjoy it. And that's all you can ask for, right?
Yes. And I'm sorry, go ahead, Paul.
Well, I was going to say I know that Amazon, and I know these are maybe more technical questions, but I know that it has to be shot a certain way or a certain quality, sound wise. So they have software that actually will run it through, and they'll run the project through the software and make sure that the levels are right and the color correction and things like that. Did you already know about this before you went into it because of your partner, or because of is it entertainment, or did you pick them up afterwards? How did that work?
We didn't know that we would end up working with Here TV when we set out to do it. We initially had just set out to do it, to make something, to showcase our creativity, for him to showcase his writing and directing, for me to showcase my acting. We love horror, so we're just like, we'll just put on a show. But once in that process, we were researching those kinds of things, just in case we ever wanted to like go down that road. So I was looking up, for example, Netflix has a whole bunch of like specifics that your projects have to meet, like specifications in terms of video quality, like you said, sound quality. So when we like hired our DP, I was like, are you able to match that? So like we kind of had that front loaded a little bit. And then once you start submitting to festivals, then everybody gives you the sort of prerequisites that they need, and then you just make sure you have a version that fits whatever the prerequisites are. And then, of course, once Here TV got a hold of it, and we signed that contract, they sent us a detailed thing like, okay, we need it in this format, we need this exact thing, this, so we had to go through some extra processes, but like we did research it at the top to make sure at the very least what was in the can was of the right quality. And so that is, I think, why we were able to kind of just move forward and, with it, not too many obstacles once we got to that point.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I am so proud of you, Robert, and your husband, and all of the actors, because it is quite a production to put a TV series together. And I wanted to compliment you on the editing and the transitions. For your first project, it is really, really, that's why I say phenomenal with you, because phenomenal is the perfect word for you, Robert. You really, really are. I want to tell the audience and his fans, Robert's fans, a little bit about him. They probably know, but he was born in New York, and then he went into musical theater. He's been featured on Comedy Central, the Jenny Lewis on the Line, and a Geico spot. So now you live in LA. How do you like LA?
Love it here. I loved New York, so I will say I do miss it a little bit. My husband was ready to leave New York, so he's the one who sort of got the ball rolling on the LA move. But honestly, I really like it out here. It's obviously the weather. You can't complain about the weather. We have a dog. We didn't have a dog in New York Yeah, he's the cutest. He's in the room right now because whenever I love him, and I would have him on my lap if I could, but he will pace while I'm doing an interview. So like I'll just let him sort of relax. But yeah, just like quality of life is very nice out here. We love our place, we love our neighbors, we have wonderful friends and people in our lives, like all of the wonderful people I've met out here. I mean, we're close, we have so many close friends and colleagues that all came into our lives after moving here. So I think, we've just been taking that as a sign that this is the place to be, and like this is the right move, for
Yes, and
us.
have you met Nancy Scanlon in real life since you are there in Los Angeles?
Yeah, so because we met before COVID. So I met
Right.
her at first in person. Like we were we were at this, like, there's a Hollywood Production Center, I think is what it's called, on Gower, which is like this like studio space / casting space. And she was running classes out of there in this little room. And there were like maybe 3 of us in the class. It was a great class. And that's how we got to know each other.
Yes, that's the
And yeah.
speciality of Courant Entertainment, because it is very specialized and unique. And I've heard, and it's true that, spots get taken and it gets booked up. So definitely check out Courant Entertainment. And of course, Nancy Scanlon and Kimberly Skyrme. Please support and follow them.
We'll
Okay.
sing their praises for a second, if you don't mind, because
Yes,
I
go
take
ahead.
with both of them. And both of them are wonderful teachers and wonderfully kind people. And to your point, like the classes are small, so they're a really great mix between private and group. So like they're not like the really big classes you can get into out here. They're like 40 people, which also, they can be fine, but it's intimate, but there's still like a support system.
Yes,
And
it's more
there's
personal. It's more personal,
yes,
isn't it, Robert?
it's a lot more personal, but you still get that feedback of having like a few people there. Like it just really builds everybody up really nicely. The growth I've seen in every actor that's gone through there and stuck with it has been incredible.
Yes, and
I mean, just such talent.
I love the professionalism of Nancy Scanlon and Kimberly Skyrme. Like I said, they are the top, and I love that. So please, everyone, support them and get in touch if you're an actor or actress. And that would be wonderful. Okay, let's go over now to Paul. Paul, do you have any comments, shares, or questions?
I'm just taking it all in. I mean, all this fascinates me, especially being able to bring a project to fruition, get it done. And if I could ask all these technical questions, of course I would, but we'd spend hours doing this. You know what? I am curious. You keep mentioning this husband. What's his name? Because maybe we should get him a little bit of fame and notoriety here, so that people know who he is in case they want to.
He's not real. I'm making him up.
I figured. You know what? I thought that might be the case.
It's a fake ring. Yeah, his name is Tim O'Leary. He is a brilliant writer and director. And I'm not just saying that because I'm married to him, but he's extremely talented, and he's been writing for such a long time. He has a back, like much like me, we actually met in the theater scene. That is how we met over 12 years ago. We've been together.
Was it a play, Robert?
Yeah, it was a play that he wrote actually, and I directed, and that's how we met. And yeah, we've been together ever since. But yeah, that's how he started. And then he moved more into TV writing. He also ghostwrites books and other things. So he's a very prolific writer.
Amazing. So if someone was interested in getting in contact with him for ghost writing, how would they do that, Robert?
Yeah, you can email him at timolearyonline@gmail.com. And he's always open to conversations about that. He's very kind and easy to talk to. So don't be scared.
That's so awesome. What do you think, Paul?
I think he sounds a little bit Irish. I don't know about that, but
just a wee bit.
Just a wee bit. Have you been to Ireland? Have you guys vacationed together anywhere?
Not
besides,
a bit.
Besides Palm Springs or Fire Island or.
Not yet, right?
You're calling me out. We were just in Palm Springs like a month ago.
I know,
but
I know. You went over to Toucans. I get it.
Yeah, right. We haven't. We will be we'll be going away because obviously nobody's really done much traveling in the last couple of years, probably. So we're doing like a small family trip with his mom and her husband. We're going to Hawaii. We're going to Maui.
Yay.
I've never been.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna love it, Robert.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And look, Paul even has the Hawaii background for you.
You're there.
Mahalo, absolutely.
Okay.
So this is
Yeah.
wonderful. Okay, thank you so much for that, Robert. And let's talk about the second movie poster on screen. I'm going to switch it up
Yes.
a little bit. It's called Pink
Thanks.
Collar Crimes, and that was 2018. Is that right,
Yeah.
Robert?
I guess it was. It feels like a lifetime ago now, but yeah, so that was a show that was on CBS. It was, how would you call it? I would call it like a docudrama. It was true crime, but it was kind of they sort of spliced in, actors with like some of the people who were involved with crimes, like narrating. And it was specifically women who committed like financial crimes or similar crimes, non-violent crimes, we'll say. So pink collar, it's all women. So the episode I was in was a suburban housewife who robbed banks. It was fascinating. So I was in one of the when I auditioned for it, I didn't know what it was. Like they gave us a script, read the script. I got the job. It was my first TV job. It was a co-star role. Showed up. It was at this beautiful bank near LAX, and they're like, "Yeah, this is what you're doing, and you're not doing anything you read there. You have to improvise everything." So yeah, it was like fully improvised, and it was such an interesting experience. It was really cool. The director was so kind, and the thing about like network TV is it's so fast. Like I was there, I think I got there at 7 a.m. I was out by 8:30. It was like done.
Wow.
It's so fast. You're just like in and out. If that's all they need you for, that's all they need you for, It's not
Amazing. Did
indie
you
where-
stop at the commissary for lunch afterwards?
No, I didn't, but I have been there before. It's very good.
That's wonderful. And so Pink Collar Crimes, how can people see it, Robert?
As far as I know, it's still available on CBS, like on their streaming service, which I think is it should be on Paramount Plus now. If it's not, then I know you can find it if you just do a search for Pink Collar Crimes.
Okay.
But back in the day, it was on CBS All Access, which is no longer. So.
Well, thank you for that. It sounds really interesting.
Amazon.
And also, how did you improv? What did you say? So since it was all improv and no script, it's like 3, 2, 1, go, right?
Yeah, they basically like gave us. So at the time, they didn't know. I don't think they knew exactly what direction and what tone they were taking the show in. So we did like the actual scene, which was like working at the bank. She comes to the bank, she robs the bank. There's a little bit of an exchange. She goes, and that was like it, right? But then they were considering taking it into almost like mockumentary territory. So I had to do like all of those, like, they do those fake interviews in like Parks and Rec and all that, and like Abbott Elementary. So like we did an entire series of those where he's like, just talk about her. And I was like, okay, great. And so I just had to talk to the camera about her, but like funny. So we like did like a whole gamut of like very serious to like kind of absurd.
Yeah.
Just so
Wow.
they had options, and then they eventually just took it in a mostly serious direction. But
Interesting.
it was fun.
It sounds like great fun. What do you say, Paul?
I love it. Well, my background is improv, and that's the thing that I think a lot of people think of improv and they instantly think comedy. Oh, it's great for comedy, but it's also great for all these other things, whether it is theater or just being able to do something at the drop of a hat with a serious tone, with a more dramatic tone. And as a matter of fact, that's the way our comedy should be. It should be done seriously. It usually ends up being funnier that way. But that's wonderful that they gave you the ability to do these talking heads things,
Yeah.
and then let them decide what they want to use it for. But that's wonderful.
Exactly.
Did you study improv, or was
I
this?
did.
Wonderful.
I did. No, I appreciate you mentioning that too, because like obviously I'm always going to sell Dream Lab and like the way they teach acting and on-camera acting. The other thing I always say, like if somebody's like, what do I do to like get comfortable acting is improv, like because improv just teaches you to just be and to trust and try not to control a scene, which I think is a tendency of a newer actor to like try to control how things go and to control the emotion or control whatever. But like when you're an improv, you have no control because you don't know what you're going to be doing. So like it really does teach you to let go. And I did some work with the Groundlings when I was in New York. I took some classes with UCB, so like I do have some experience in that realm. And I loved it. I did, again, all of this was before the pandemic, but I got a lot of value out of improv and learning to trust myself and trust my scene partner and just trust all of it a little bit better. And it's usually funnier and better and more interesting and more everything when you do that.
Yes, and
Yes, and exactly.
And you know what I love about that, Paul, is what you mentioned and touched on is it's about, and I believe Nancy does this in her Dream Labs class. It's about having belief in yourself, faith in yourself, faith in the process, faith in the journey, and faith in the result, that everything is going to turn out okay. And that safe space that Nancy gives is a wonderful, wonderful place. So, and I believe that's why you're blossoming and flourishing and doing so well. So yes, that, and now you can just show up, impromptu, and there you go. You're ready, right, Robert? Do you feel that?
I do. It is. Yeah. I mean, obviously with time and with practice, but I do feel more comfortable and confident in myself than ever, than I ever have. And like every week that goes by that I continue to train and just continue to show up, I feel more comfortable and more confident. That doesn't say I always feel confident. Definitely, definitely feel insecure sometimes. We all deal with it. We all have growing pains. We all have, step out of our comfort zone, and that's scary. But I think generally speaking, I just feel more confident that I can rise to the occasion of whatever it may be,
Yes.
really than ever before.
And we were talking a moment ago about, we love costumes, we love theater. We've always loved that color and that kind of thing. Haven't we? We're that type of theater people, aren't we, Robert and Paul?
Yes.
100%.
Yes. Okay. So, the time has gone so fast. We're going to have to start wrapping it up. I can't believe it. But before we do that, I want to ask how people can support you and follow you. How do they find you, Robert? And then we'll do the heart messages.
Okay. So you can find me on Instagram, Robert Rice Actor. I'm also on Facebook as Robert Rice. On Twitter, because it wasn't available, but I'm Robert Rice 87 on Twitter. I'm pretty active on both Twitter and Instagram, Facebook as well. And Demon Hunter, as you can see in the poster, there's no E in Hunter, but you can go to demonhunter.com and find out more about it there, or you can just look it up on Google and it'll show up in all the different places you can watch it.
Excellent. Excellent, Robert. Thank you so much. I don't know where the time has gone. It's just flown by. But what we're going to do is our heart messages now. We're going to start with you, Paul. We're going to start with you. What is your heart message for this week?
I'm thinking never give up. I love the fact that we as independent artists and artists trying to make it in this industry is don't give up and create your own content where you can definitely show off your talents, your skills, things like that. So absolutely, I say, keep at it. It's a wonderful industry. It's so much fun. And the only way really to succeed is for us to create our own content, especially if you belong to a community that isn't traditionally represented. So we just need to go out there and put our content out there because we have a voice and it should be heard. and of course, study improv. But other than that, thank you. And please, if you're trying to get a hold of me, I'm at paulvato.com, and all of my social media is there. So I'd love to connect. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. So thank you, AJ. Thanks for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, Paul. So nicely said, as always. And Robert, over to you for your heart message.
Yeah, I think my heart message is, oh man, how do I want to phrase this? I think it's to trust yourself and to show up. Trusting that showing up will get you where you want to go, because every time you put one foot in front of the other, that's like one step forward in the direction you're trying to go, right? And even on days where it's like, oh God, I don't know if I can handle this, like even just showing up, even if you can only show up this much, it's still, you're still showing up for yourself, and trusting that that is, you are enough, and that is enough, and that's going to keep you moving forward. I think that's what I try to keep in mind every day, because you know, our how much we how much energy we have every day changes, right? But like just showing up and believing in yourself like works wonders. And it's just that consistency, I think, that makes a huge difference. And also I want to say, like Paul said, if anyone ever has questions about filmmaking or crowdfunding or any of those things, please reach out. I'm always easy to talk to about that. Happy to answer questions. Anything.
I love that. I love that so much. And I want to say, Robert, Paul and I believe in you. You are amazing. And you are just on this trajectory upward, and you're going to do so very well each and every step of the way. So I just want to thank you so much for being a beautiful guest tonight. And Paul, thank you as well. And my heart message is, be thankful. Let's be all, just like Paul and Robert are, let's all be thankful and grateful. And yes, trust that process, just like Robert said. And let's always have a sense of fun and play, because that's what theater is. And theater people and film people, we're basically the same. We are the same. We're one. So let's have fun and keep that sense of play. And it is an honor to be in this industry. And I thank everybody for following us, subscribing to us, and liking us, and all your comments. Thank you so much. We appreciate you so much. And subscribe and follow Robert Rice and Nancy Scanlon and Kimberly Skyrme, and especially Paul Vato as well. Check out Vato Presents, and it's going to be wonderful. So until next time, thank you so very much. Bye for now.